episode 120 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivets. I apologize for not recording last week. I just had a lot going on with work and personal stuff, so I didn't get into it. I did watch last week's episode. We got the tag team title match between Heavy Machinery and Authors of Pain. We also got the debut of one half of Red Dragon, Bobby Fish. The show kicked off, though, with the promo of Tommaso Ciampa a few weeks ago before he left, with some DIY highlights cut in between. We then saw Roderick Strong backstage embrace his family after he lost to Bobby Roode the week before. After that was Bobby Fish's debut against Aleister Black. He got a nice reaction. A little bit of a slow beginning. They felt each other out, just testing each other. But it came down to Aleister Black winning with Black Mass. Good match overall. They were in a bit of a tough booking decision with this match. They could either have Aleister Black suffer his first loss to the new incoming NXT talent, or, this is what they did do, have the rising star in Aleister Black just defeat the debuting Bobby Fish. He did put up a hell of a fight, though, landed some moves, a little bit cocky, but Black was able to put him away. We got a highlight of the Sanity, Hideo, Itami, Kassius, Ohno tag match from the week before. Hideo confronted Ohno backstage and blamed Ohno for the tag team title, or for the tag team loss. Apparently, Angelo Dawkins and his partner, don't know his name, called Street Profits. We got a vignette here. We also had one on this week's episode. And the Velveteen Dream blew off an interview after leaving Full Sail 2 weeks ago. Second match, Vanessa Bourne versus Jamie Hatchie, which was a Mae Young Classic qualifier. Bourne won with a spinning back suplex. Nothing great about this match, honestly. I'm just hoping that the women's matches aren't this bad in the actual Mae Young Classic. Drew McIntyre confronted Alexander Wolf, who was laying on his car. Killian Dane attacked him from behind, and we got word that Dane McIntyre will face off next week for a shot at Bobby Roode's title at TakeOver Brooklyn. Johnny Gargano made his return. He came out with the DIY music. He said he used to get excited for that music, but he never saw the attack coming. He said you can't control what happens to you, but how you react to it, and he vowed to be at Brooklyn, and he will be Johnny Wrestling again. He then left with new music. Short, sweet, to the point. Gargano was focused, ready to get back in the ring, and unfortunately his first match won't be against Tommaso Ciampa. We're going to have to wait a few more months for that. Final match of this episode was Authors of Pain against Heavy Machinery. Tucker and Akam started, trying to take each other down. They played up the weight thing early, which big man's going to take the other one out. Razor and Otis had their turns as well. Otis no-sold a couple clotheslines before taking down Razor. Authors of Pain were in control. They hit an assisted side slam. They went back and forth a little bit. Heavy Machinery went for a double slam on Akam, but Razor kicked Tucker. Akam planted Otis with a DDT, and they won with the last chapter. As Authors of Pain were celebrating, Sanity came out. The papers were falling, symbolizing the book that the Authors of Pain were writing, apparently. The crowd honestly couldn't care less, and neither could I. I really don't want to see Sanity in any more high-profile matches. Killian Dane and Nikki Cross alone, they're fine, but as a group, really can care less. Fun stuff early for this match, though. Heavy Machinery got some offense in, but it wasn't anything compared to the squash that Authors of Pain put on them. They wore Tucker down for a long time. I honestly don't see who the next challengers can be. Really hope it's not Sanity. TM61's not ready to come back. I don't even know if they're still in the contract, whatever the case is. DIY splitting up hurts the tag team division. Maybe with Kyle O'Reilly coming in a few weeks, we can get Red Dragon taking the place of DIY. That would be great. But if we get Sanity versus Authors of Pain, that'll be 10 minutes of entrances alone. The show overall was alright. Fish and Black was pretty good. Women's match sucked, and the main event was fun early, but it got boring towards the end. This week's episode, we have Ember Moon versus Ruby Riott and Killian Dane versus Drew McIntyre. The show kicked off with the women's match. We had dueling chants and dueling pins early. Ember Moon countered a monkey flip with a handspring. Ruby took control with some arm drags and a twirling head scissors. She later drove Ember Moon's head into the turnbuckle, hit a back suplex. Ember hit a flatliner for a near fall. Back from break, Ruby hit a diving senton from the top. She then hit a Frankensteiner. We got a "This is awesome" chant. Wasn't there yet. It was borderline good, great, but it definitely wasn't awesome. Ember landed a discus right hand and a shotgun dropkick before winning with the Eclipse. Borderline great match, really good overall. My only gripe, besides the mid-match commercial break, was that if Ember truly is Asuka's next challenger, I would have preferred if she got a more dominant victory. Again, with the match last week between Aleister Black and Bobby Fish, they were put in a tough spot because you can either squash out Ruby Riott, but that makes her look like a chump trying to get her credibility back up, or you have them, the two women have a competitive match, and Ember Moon barely escaping with the win. It's just going to be tough to take her as a believable contender against Asuka when Asuka's been dominating everyone put in front of her, and Ember Moon barely defeated Ruby Riott. Let's just hope she stays healthy regardless. Kassius Ohno was interviewed backstage. He was talking about the differences between his NXT run first and this one when Hideo interrupted, asking him if he's the one that called for the match. Ohno did. He said he's going to let his actions speak for himself, and we'll get Hideo Itami versus Kassius Ohno next week, not at TakeOver. I'm assuming we're going to get a non-finish leading to the TakeOver match. They're going to need some undercard match to round out the title matches. We got a second Street Profits vignette. We then got Only Lorcan versus Birch. Two hard-hitting guys. What can go wrong here? Birch was pretty much bleeding early after a couple uppercuts from Only Lorcan. They stood face-to-face, traded uppercuts. Lorcan held Birch's face and just slapped him about 5 times. Birch came back with a huge clothesline, turning Lorcan inside out. Lorcan was on the top, but Birch ducked, and Lorcan rolled through to lock in a single-leg crab to get the win. The two shook hands after the match, but Birch challenged him to one more match. Good stiff match. I like the unintentional gimmick that they're giving Only Lorcan by making his opponents bleed every time with those uppercuts. The aggressiveness from him could make him a heel, but the crowd's buying into it. The finish was weird, though, because they weren't working on the legs or anything. They were just trading chops and uppercuts and stuff, that the single-leg submission and Birch tapping out just came out of nowhere. Third match, No Way Jose returned and took on Cesar Bonanni. They brought up Bonanni's win against Almas almost 2 months ago. That played into the finish. Bonanni landed a standing dropkick and a nice right hand on Jose. Jose made a comeback with a corner splash and his clothesline before winning with a discus forearm. After the match, Almas appeared from the crowd and attacked Bonanni. He then called out Jose, who then ran away when No Way Jose returned to the ring. I'm pretty sure we already got a feud between these two, so I'm not looking forward to see this again. The match was alright, just a returning squash match for Jose. Really not much to get invested in. The show ended with the number 1 contenders match between Drew McIntyre and Killian Dane. Dane had a remixed music of Sanity's entrance, but still skippable. And I kind of coined this as a height versus width match between McIntyre and Dane. Drew took Dane off his feet with a diving axe smash. Dane came back with a running crossbody. After the first commercial break, Dane was still in control, kept him on the ground with elbows and a vicious headlock. Drew got to his feet, but Dane quickly took him out. Drew was on the top rope, but he slipped underneath Killian Dane, landed a powerbomb. He then hit a running clothesline and the Fit Finley drop, or the air raid crash. Dane landed a front slam, senton splash, and a Vader bomb in quick succession for a near fall. He then landed his own powerbomb for another 2 count. After a super fisherman suplex, Drew got a 1 count after the future shock, but he was surprised because Dane kicked out pretty quickly. He then hit a running kick. Dane got up again. He connected with a second kick and got the win. Really good match between these two. The two big men played well off each other. They contrasted in styles, even though they were similar in size. It definitely picked up in the second half with some of the near falls and the big moves both men were landing. Dane moves around pretty nicely as a big man. He's got some agility similar to those of Heavy Machinery. I did read the spoilers, so I was aware that McIntyre was winning, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the match. I liked it a lot, and Killian Dane got some nice near falls as well. We have the first match set for TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Bobby Roode will be defending his NXT Championship against Drew McIntyre. Overall, it was a decent show, definitely better than last week. Didn't care for the No Way Jose match, but the women's match was good. I did like the physicality of the Lorcan Birch match, and the main event told a pretty good story with a viable contender, obviously a babyface, coming after Bobby Roode. Next week, we have Hideo Itami versus Kassius Ohno. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the podcast. Follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports. Rate, review, comment, all that stuff on YouTube, and hopefully I'll be back next week with episode 121. Peace.